Alright, so welcome to something really special that I haven't made in a really long time. So in this specific video, we're going to be covering on how exactly you can use Apollo.io to scrape unsaturated data, and that is 100% accurate. You know, the recent Apollo updates about the credit issues and all that. I know Apollo is a really good database, but the data is just too saturated. It basically means the people and the contacts, they have been contacted and reached out too many times. So it would be foolish of you to basically making your lead list in Apollo by using the industries and keywords. But I have got a little secret that I'm pretty sure in the industry I kind of know about it. If anyone does, then hats off to you. But anyways, you know, typical way is you guys go into Apollo, you probably get a free trial or whatever. You simply use export Apollo, scrape out the lead list, and that's it. So in that case scenario, first of all, the data is just going to be saturated, and secondly, it's not going to be accurate at all. You know, let's suppose you want to find SaaS companies. So if you just search SaaS, you're not going to get it. So that is one of the major problems that Apollo has got itself. But that being said, I've got a little trick which I'm just going to show you guys like how exactly it works, and I've made a quick little document for you guys. The document link will be in the description, in the comments. You can just check it out, and you guys are just going to love it, and I can put a guarantee on the table that you guys are just going to love it. So that being said, how to use Apollo.io database to just scrape unsaturated lead lists, and secondly, if you're just a beginner, you know, if you have been using Apollo for a really long time, literally, if you just watch this video, you're going to get the real worth of Apollo on how the pros kind of use it. So first of all, a must read. You know, if you're, as I mentioned previously, directly building out the lead list and through industries and keywords, you're just going to get super saturated data, and it's not going to be accurate. So how exactly we do it? It's super simple. We scrape the companies from another data source, let's say built with Galaka, all these data sources which has got the accurate data as per industries wise, and based on that we add into Apollo, and based on that we find the people who are working on those companies. Now in this way, Apollo is not going to search its own database. Apollo is going to be looking at the database and the companies that we have provided. So that being said, here's exactly how you can do it. So here's a quick little steps. First of all, you get an Apollo free account. You don't have to pay Apollo for that. Then you can use a tool named as Leadamax to just simply export companies, and these are just unlimited lead lists for less than your coffee budget. Includes Google Maps for local, built with if you want to find out any sort of technology, Galaka for SaaS, Agency Vista for agencies, Clutch for more agencies, Store Leads for e-com, Good Firms for web development, right? So how you want to do it? Of course, we have got a Slack community, which I'm just going to show you now. So you can just go to scrapermax.com. This is the website. You guys can go into that. You know, if you want to get started with it, you can just get started with it. You'll be redirected to this specific Slack. In the Slack, you just tell whatever you want. You know, let's say you want store leads built with HVAC, US and Canada, Google Maps, any sort of industry you name it, you can scrape it up, right? And the company and the sheet we're going to get is going to be something similar to this. This is a quick sample of how the data sheet will look like initially from Leadamax itself. You know, let's say you put plumbing, and let's say you write USA, let's say you write Google Maps, and within 2 to 3 hours, you'll get this sort of list. You'll get the company name, the phone number, the website, and all that. But the data that you're going to need is just all these websites. Let's suppose we copy somewhere about 2000, right? So I'm just going to copy 2000, and in the top bar, I'm just going to write 2000. I'm going to click enter. I'm going to command C, right? Or control C, whatever you guys use. And secondly, I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go to add to Apollo, and based on that, people to companies, include list of companies. And how you do it, you're going to go into Apollo. Over here, you want to go to people, and into the people, you want to click on company and lookalikes. Click on that. Then include list of companies, and just paste those 2000 URLs, and that's it. Save and search. The database that we have got right now is super unsaturated. Reason being, because Apollo is not looking at its own database. It's looking at these companies that we've actually provided. Now, based on that, you can just enter your job titles. You can simply enter, you know, email verified, email status, and so on and so forth. And if we follow back to this specific one, as I mentioned previously, add all the job titles, you know, the filters, location, employee size, whatever. So we go into that, and make sure, you know, if you're doing cold emails, click on the verified and just turn it off. Now it's going to be 5.3K because we don't want to include any sort of unverified emails, catch-all emails, and all that. Now these are all the companies and all the job titles we can target. And if I click on job titles and I'm going to click on, let's say, management level, I just want to have owners, I want to have founders, C-suite, partner, VP, and that's pretty much it. Now these are all the decision makers that I can just target. From just 2,000 companies, there are 615 verified decision makers, and there's a 76 to 78% probability they have never been reached out before. Now that is one thing that we can do. And secondly, if you want to scrape Apollo, there are a couple of tools you can use. Export Apollo, or you can even, if you're an existing customer of Leadamax, just copy the URL, go back to there and just DM me the URL. It's like $4 per 1K verified emails. And secondly, if you're using outsourcing the specific Apollo export, and let's say you've used Leadamax on scraping service of Apollo, right? Based on that, you're going to get a list something like this. If I just go back, then export by putting the URL back into Slack DM. You can just put it back to the Slack, and don't put in the Leadamax list order, just directly DM to me. I'll just do that for you guys. But anyways, this is not about I'm actually selling it onto the table. Well, of course, if you're outsourcing Apollo, you can just do it. It's completely as per you. Then you get the complete lead list. That's it. You're gonna get a lead list, something like that one, right? You get the first name, the last name, the full name, email, contact, LinkedIn, and based on the title, you get all the titles. As you can see, these are just decision makers, and every single thing that Apollo's got on the table. Now, since I've got all this list, there's actually another part I want to put on the table, which is simply using Million Verifier to double validate the email. If you want to reduce the bounce rate, you should be simply double validating your email lead list, right? So based on that, I'm going to go into Million Verifier and let me just quickly sign into my account. So I've just signed into Million Verifier. This is just an optional step you guys can simply use, and this is something that I would 110% prefer any day, anytime, right? So I'm going to simply use Million Verifier, and how I'm going to do it, I'm just going to, let's say, copy that and just simply download this CS Suite. Once it has actually downloaded, I'm going to go into that. I'm going to simply drag and drop it and just verify that. And as you can see, 87% accurate, 92%, 91%. Now in this way, it's simply going to remove even the catch-all emails as well. And these are all emails that are good to go, and you're going to get a bounce rate of somewhere around 0.003, 0.5%, which is just no-brainer, right? At the end of the day, you guys can just get started with it. And this is literally how the pros kind of create the lead list and all that. And this is exactly what we simply do at Leadamax as well. So Leadamax is also our company where we do done-for-you lead generation, we do qualified meetings and all that, but that's not the part of the table. What actually is how to simply craft the perfect lead list, and unlimited lead list for less than a coffee budget. Of course, if you want to get started with Leadamax, you can check the link in the specific document, or also I'm going to leave that in description. You guys can check Leadamax, you guys can check our cold email SOPs, you guys can check done for you, join secondary Slack community, and everything is kind of included. Of course, this is not the paid one. This is just, where all cold emailers reside, even Eric Novoslavsky, Cold IQ, these guys reside over there. And everything about AI, automation, cold outreach, and every detail regarding cold outreach is just included. So this was a quick video on how exactly you can just master the list building process just through Apollo. You don't need any sort of fancy databases like Crunchbase and all that. Instead of using Crunchbase, use GetLaka. Reason being, Crunchbase, everybody knows about it, right? You can just use GetLaka. People don't know much about it. You can just scrape SaaS companies, Stories for e-com, built for tech companies and all that. And that was pretty much it. And as always, I'm staying far, and I'm always rooting for you. Cheers.